This is Abby Phillip, the host of two roundtable discussion shows on CNN, Newsnight and Table for Five. On both shows recently, a raid on a California farm was the lead topic.
Raids at a California farm turned dangerous. Migrants, protesters, and federal agents all caught in the chaos.
And you know who created that chaos, right? Spoiler alert, it wasn't the federal agents. It was the protesters who quickly descended on the farm to disrupt the raid by using vehicles to block law enforcement operations and by throwing rocks at ICE and CBP agents. This is not protesting. This is rioting.
But is public opinion turning toward more immigration?
Okay, so Abby Phillip is setting up the narrative that these immigration raids are shifting public opinion of Trump's immigration policy.
A new Gallup poll found 8 in 10 Americans believe immigration is a good thing. That's the most support that there's been in 25 years.
But let's read the actual question by Gallup. On the whole, do you think immigration is a good thing or a bad thing for this country today? Notice that it said immigration, not illegal immigration. But apparently, when it comes to these Gallup respondents, the question is up for interpretation. In 2024, when hundreds of thousands of border crossings were happening monthly, thanks to the Biden administration's open border policies, the poll results to this question were significantly lower, hitting a 10-year low of 64%. So on the whole, it's obvious that the reason for the shift in opinion is because Southwest land border encounters have dropped 93% year over year. Thanks to President Trump, of course.
The Gallup had a pretty blockbuster poll today because they've been looking at this issue obviously for a very long time, and they have some comparative data. And what they have found is that Trump has not made immigration less popular.
But for each and every year that Trump has been in office, that number has risen. Probably because Trump isn't anti-immigration.
He's not made a pathway of citizenship less popular. He's made them more popular. So now 78% of Americans say they support a pathway to citizenship for immigrants who are here illegally. That's up 7 points from last year.
So Gallup's question was regarding allowing immigrants living in the U.S. illegally the chance to become U.S. citizens if they meet certain requirements over a period of time. That number is up from 70% of poll respondents in 2024 to 78% in 2025. However, what Abby Phillip isn't telling you is that according to Gallup, that number was higher in 2016 and 2019. It's not that Trump made it more popular, it's that Joe Biden's open border policies made it less popular.
Now, Americans say they want more immigration, not less immigration.
Fact check false. The Gallup question was, thinking about immigrants, that is, people who come from other countries to live here in the United States, in your view, should immigration be kept at its present level, increased, or decreased? 38% think it should be kept at the present level. 30% think that it should be decreased. And 26% say it should be increased. So, how exactly do these numbers indicate Americans want more immigration? Oh, right, they don't.
Now, Americans say they want less border patrol agents, not more.
But that's not what the question was. Gallup asked poll respondents about their opinion on hiring significantly more border patrol agents. 59% strongly favor hiring more, compared to 76% in 2024. So according to Abby Phillip, math genius, when 59% of Americans favor more of something, it actually means that they want less of something. Got it.
Americans say they want less border patrol agents, not more.
So with zero evidence, Abby Phillip is claiming that immigration raids are affecting these poll numbers, and members of the Newsnight panel were happy to help spread that misinformation.
what they're really recoiling from and what you're seeing in this poll and I'm seeing in focus groups are Jose down the street who's been here for 20 years or somebody that's picking your food or somebody who did come here, quote unquote, undocumented or illegal, who they didn't say, I didn't sign up for this.
Why is it that when it comes to the undocumented, the left more often than not claim that they're all picking our food?
This raid yesterday, they were getting chased through the fields. Folks who are picking our food. We should be disgusted by this.
I mean, you said pick our food. I mean, wasn't it a marijuana farm?
Oh, right. That California farm was actually Glass House Farms, the largest cannabis farm in the United States. But you wouldn't know it based off of Abby Phillips' description of it.
Raids at a California farm turned dangerous.
Wasn't it a marijuana farm, you know, and weren't there illegal child migrants there, like child labor? I mean, the feds go interrupt a marijuana farm with illegal child labor and people are upset about it. I mean, look, I think there's two sides to this story.
Yes, there are two sides of the story. The right side and the wrong side.
As for the children, I don't know that we've really confirmed their status, documented or not.
According to CBP Commissioner Rodney Scott, 10 juveniles were found at the facility, all illegal aliens, 8 of them unaccompanied, which means that they are in the country without parents or guardians. But apparently, Abby Phillip doesn't care about exploitation or child trafficking or, any of that stuff.
But a lot of people don't know, it's true, that in agriculture in this country, it is legal for children to work there, children sometimes as young as 12. So that's the exception that the agricultural industry has.
Did you see how Abby Phillip is trying to make this about something other than the fact that undocumented and or unaccompanied children were working on a weed grow? Did you know that 12-year-olds are allowed to work on farms?
I just want to go back to the thing I was most concerned about in reading all of this today, and that's that these little children are found on these farms. I mean, are we really saying here in the year 2025, well, we have to maintain the status quo of illegal immigration in the United States because we need little children to pick marijuana in California? It's like blowing my mind.
No, Scott, I think you're making a really, frankly, it's a very important point. I mean, the fact that young children, immigrants or not, are working on these farms, whether they're forced to because they have to make money for their families, or maybe they,
for whatever here to do that,
or for whatever reason. I totally agree that is something that we as a country need to address. There are more than a dozen states in this country allow children to work on farms. Who do you think those children are? Those children are more than likely going to be immigrants or undocumented immigrants.
But the cases we're dealing with today were
I'm just
California.
saying it's not a California thing. It's it's a United States of America thing.
Instead of focusing on the fact that undocumented children were working on a weed farm, Abby Phillip is like, did you know children work jobs? But great job, Abby Phillip and CNN. You're doing God's work.
Let's look at what just happened at the Glass House marijuana farm. There are a bunch of kids there that are undocumented or unaccompanied, and they think this is crazy talk, and we should be focusing on that. And for one thing, how did those kids get there?
Well, I just want to add one thing. The UFW, the United Farm Workers, put out a statement about this, that farm work is exempted from child labor laws.
So Abby Phillip was getting that information from a statement by the United Farm Workers, who said in part, farm workers are excluded from basic child labor laws, and it is unfortunately not uncommon for teenagers to work in the fields. Of course, Abby Phillip and the UFW are very wrong here, because of course there are laws that apply to the employment of children in agriculture. For example, the Department of Labor states, if you are not yet 16, there are many restrictions on agricultural work. These restrictions include the hours that you're allowed to work and an extensive list of work that you're not allowed to do. And when it comes to the Glass House Farms case, the most important restriction is that under California law, no one under the age of 21 is allowed to work in the cannabis industry. So instead of the UFW putting out a statement calling for an investigation as to why children were found working on a cannabis farm, they made a broad statement saying, it's not uncommon for teenagers to work in the fields, which makes it sound like the law allows children to work there.
You're telling me undocumented?
I'm not saying the undocumented.
Unaccompanied
I'm not
kids
talking
can
about
work
the
at a marijuana farm?
I'm not talking about the undocumented part, but according to this statement, in this country, not just at farm, not at marijuana farms, at all
semantics.
farms.
Oh man, Jillian Michaels is sick of Abby's BS. Well, as are the rest of us.
Look at the reality
No,
of what
I'm
we're
just saying-
talking about. How did
Listen.
an unaccompanied, undocumented 14-year-old
Hey, Jillian,
in the middle of the day?
I believe that, and many people might believe, children should be subject to child labor laws. But it's true in this country that when it comes to agricultural work, they're not. And that includes marijuana farms.
So Abby is claiming that A, all children aren't subject to child labor laws, which they are, and B, that they're allowed to work on marijuana farms, which they are not. Someone needs to remind Abby Phillip and her producers that they work on an alleged news network and need to accurately report the facts, not just parrot back a press release from a corrupt labor union. This is why people call you fake news CNN.
But the fact of children being there is not actually something that is necessarily illegal. It doesn't matter whether it's a marijuana farm or an apple farm.
A kid can't work at a bar.
It's agriculture.